What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Do You Want More, a UFC stat show here on the Monkmatics channel. I am your host, Monk, aka the Monkmatician. Let's get into breaking down the statistics and all of the information for UFC 265 here on the main card. Let's get right into it. All right, first fight of the main card: Song Yadong taking on Casey Kenny at bantamweight. Song Yadong is 5'8", 67-inch reach. Casey Kenny 5'7", 68-inch reach. This is an orthodox versus southpaw matchup. It looks like Song Yadong is, let's see here, 6.5 years younger than Casey Kenny, only 23 years old. Professionally, Yadong pretty experienced for that age. 16-4-1. 47.62% of his fights don't go the distance. His knockouts in his wins, 37.5%. Submissions in his wins, 18.75. And in his losses, he has been knocked out one time, never been subbed. In the UFC, he is 5-1-1. Casey Kenny, professionally, 16-3-1, so almost identical record as Yadong here. 35% of his fights don't see the end, or don't go the distance, I should say. Every fight sees the end. Let's see. 12% of his wins have come by knockout TKO, 31% of his wins by submission, and he has never been finished. He is 5-2 in the UFC. Let's see here. Average fight time for Yadong, just under 11 minutes, and for Kenny, just over 13 minutes. Ass whoop index. How much do you whoop your opponent's ass? How bad do you get your ass whooped? This is a career number in this case. 5.28 for Yadong, so that is good for 23rd out of 56. You can see my cursor. Good for 23rd out of 56 in the bantamweight division, so pretty decent there, a little above average. Casey Kenny, negative 3.88 AWI. Not good there. 42nd out of 56 in the bantamweight division. Song Yadong has a 0.9 power index, 0 chindex. Very good. Casey Kenny never knocked anyone down and never been knocked down. Let's get into some odds here. Opening line for Song Yadong was minus 125. Now it's about 100. About a pick'em for him, or even odds, I should say, not a pick'em. Casey Kenny opened at plus 105. He is now minus 119. So the line did flip a little bit, but it's still pretty close. Plus 160, fight doesn't go. Minus 200, fight does go. Let's see here. A couple of notable performances. Yadong, first round KO win over Alejandro Perez back in 2019. He's got a round one submission win against Kandare 2017. Felipe Arantes, and then his notable performances. So his three worst performances. Cody Stamann, draw, and then a couple of lower tier wins there. Casey Kenny, subbed Luis Smolka, first round. A couple of third round decision wins there. Got smashed by Merab. And ignore this Enrique Barzola. I don't know why this is here, that he did not fight Enrique Barzola on March 14th, 2020. Or ever, I don't believe. So let's see here. Ignore that one. And then Ray Borg, another decision win. Fight finishing data. This is just UFC stats. I know we already talked about submission or finish stats up here. This is just in the UFC. Song Yadong finishes 60% of his wins, never been finished. 40% go to decision. Casey Kenny only finishes 20% of his wins, never been finished in a loss. And here's a graphical representation of those stats we just talked about. If they're all clusterfucked right here, that means they're all zeros. So just ignore that. Focus on the rest. So yeah, pretty, couple of ways to finish here for Song Yadong. 2 TKOs, 1 submission. Just 1 finish win there for Casey Kenny, as we discussed. Let's go down to some striking data, get into the meat and potatoes of this stuff. All right. Left 2 columns are career volume numbers. We don't really pay much attention to that. Middle column here, accuracy and defense. Next column, volume landed, and last column, volume thrown. That's where we're going to be paying attention here. Song Yadong throws 10 significant strikes a minute, lands 4.35 at a 42% accuracy. Casey Kenny throws 10.68 strikes per minute, lands 4.92 of those for a 46% accuracy. So a little bit better numbers there from Casey Kenny, but still both below the 50% mark. Significant strikes landed, against, 3.64 at a 57% defense. Casey Kenny gets hit more, 4.36 at a 59% defense. So his defense is a little better, but he is getting more volume thrown at him. Significant striking per minute differential, 0.71 for Song Yadong, so that's pretty decent there. Above average, a little above average in the division. Casey Kenny is a bit below that, 0.56 significant strikes landed per minute differential there. So both guys are positive. That is something we do like to see. Never want to see a negative striking differential. Then I did add a few more stats here I'm excited to talk to you about since, just last night and this morning I added them. Some distance numbers here. Time fought at distance, 52 minutes. A little above average there for Song Yadong. And then that converted into a percentage compared to his total fight time. So he has fought 68% of his total fight time at distance. And then Casey Kenny, 63% of his total fight time has been at distance. So pretty close there. A little bit more for Song Yadong. Knockdown data, nothing for Casey Kenny. No knockdowns for or against. Song Yadong, 3 knockdowns for. That is a 0.59 knockdown per 15 rate. Pretty good, 19th in the division. So you do like to see that there. And never been knocked down as well. So that's just a bonus. Takedown data. Let's see. This one's going to go to Song Yadong, it looks like. He lands 0.59 takedowns per 15 minutes at a 75% accuracy. So he's only landed 3 of 4 in his career. So he's not, he's only shooting for takedowns 0.51%. So he's not really shooting too much. Takedown defense, 1.97 takedowns landed against per 15. So not a great number there at a 56% rate. So pretty below average at that point. His opponent's takedown rate, 3.54. So considerably more than his shooting rate. And that accumulates in a takedown per 15 differential of minus 1.38. So he does get taken down to the ground. He has only stopped 13 of 23 takedowns. So yeah, let's see here. I added these numbers as well. These numbers down here. Takedowns landed per 15 minutes when our fighter is attempting 2 or more takedowns. And then it's the number of fights where that has occurred. Only 1 fight for Song Yadong. And he did raise his takedown rate from 0.59 to 2 there. And then the percentage of fights he won when he did attempt 2 or more takedowns. Again, 1 fight, as we can see up here, he did win that fight. And then on the other side, takedown landed against per 15 when facing 2 or more takedowns attempted per fight. And that raises his takedown landed against per 15 rate from 1.97 to 2.73. And he has only won half of the fights he has fought when his opponent has attempted 2 or more takedowns. So that's kind of a advanced statistic, if you will, but I do think it's going to come in handy. Let's go over to Casey Kenny's side. 0.97 takedowns landed per 15 minutes for 42% accuracy, so not great there. 3.87 takedowns landed against per 15 at a 53% takedown defense. So he's only stuffed 27 of 51 takedowns. Not great. You can easily take, not easily, but you can take Casey Kenny down. He shoots more than Yadong, 1.41%, but his opponents shoot 5% on him, so that's pretty high. For a takedown differential, minus 2.9 takedowns per 15. That is pretty bad. 52 out of 56 in the bantamweight division, so a pretty awful takedown differential there. Takedowns landed per 15 when he attempts 2 or more takedowns. That's happened in 4 fights. He's raised that from 1 takedown to 1.5, and he's won 3 of 4 of those fights. Takedowns landed against per 15 when facing 2 or more takedowns. This is bad, 4.8. So it goes from 3.87, a full takedown higher, to 4.8. He does win 60% of those fights, though. So just an advanced look there. Control time data. 15.9% control time for Song Yadong, 15.46 against, so pretty even. Casey Kenny a little less, 14.88 for, and then more against, so 22.03% control time against. So his differential is going to be negative. Let's see here. Time fought inside the distance, 23.93 minutes for Song Yadong. That's 31% of his fights. 34.35 minutes for Casey Kenny. That is 36% of his fights. Get up time for Yadong, a little bit more than Kenny at 31 seconds. Casey Kenny, 24. His hold down time, however, my goodness, first in the division. If he takes you down On average, he's holding you there for 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Granted, he only has 3 takedowns in the UFC, but still, that's a huge number. Casey Kenny's hold down time is just under 1 minute. Control time activity rate, that's a stat I came up with. What do you do when you're in control? If you're on the cage, are you trying to get takedowns? Are you throwing clinch strikes? If you're on the ground, are you ground and pounding? Are you going for submissions, finishes, etc.? So that kind of tells you, how active they are when they're in control. 7.75 for Song Yadong. So that might not mean much just there, but just know that it is 36th in the division out of 56. So not a great number, below average. And then Casey Kenny's is even lower, 5.92, 44th in the division. Here's another new stat, control time percentage when attempting 2 or more takedowns. So it's just like the takedown stat, but for control time percentage. Let's see here. Song Yadong raises. You can still see the numbers over my big head. Yep. Control time, he raises it from 15.9 to 18 when he attempts 2 or more takedowns. When he faces 2 or more takedowns, it goes up from 15.5 to 21. Here on the other side, control time for Casey Kenny when attempting 2 or more takedowns goes from 15 to almost 23. And then when he's facing 2 or more takedowns, his control time against goes from 22 to 27. So not too big of jumps there. Really what I'm looking for are large gaps between those 2 numbers. And these are not very large gaps. So guys do pretty well when facing those takedown attempts. Submission and reversal data. Song Yadong has finished 1 of 2 submissions, no subs thrown against him, and same exact thing with Casey Kenny, 1 of 2. Let's see here, 2 reversals, 4, none against, and then 4 reversals, 4, and 2 against. Here's another stat I just did this morning, reversals per takedown landed against percentage. So 20% for Yadong. That means every time someone lands a takedown against him, not every time, 20% of the time someone lands a takedown against him, he gets a reversal. So that's what that is. 9th in the division, pretty good there. And no one's reversed him. On the other side, 16.67 reversals per takedown landed against percentage. And then over here, since we actually have a number, every time Casey Kenny gets let's see, every time, I keep doing this, 33% of the time Casey Kenny gets a takedown landed on him, or lands a takedown, a reversal is put up on him. So I'm sorry, that's so hard to describe. It's just much easier for me to look at the number, but sometimes I have trouble forming sentences, apparently. Let's go down to the advanced significant striking data. Same thing as above. The left 2 columns are career volume, so we're going to be focusing on the middle column, accuracy and defense, and then the volume per minute and the volume thrown per minute. So what stands out to us, really? Not too much here. It looks like Casey Kenny's numbers are better for the division, pretty much all the way around, accuracy and defense, with the exception of like head striking accuracy, leg striking defense, etc. I did add these numbers here at the bottom, and I am going to scroll up because my giant head's in the way. I guess I could, let's see here, no. Okay. Not going to let me do it. Probably because I'm blind, but these numbers here at the bottom, head striking efficiency, body striking efficiency, leg striking efficiency, all this stuff. These are just kind of ways to look to compartmentalize all the numbers in this huge block of numbers above it. So basically this says Song Yadong outstrikes his opponents to the head by over 34%. So 134%. And as you can see, that is basically just the math of 3.04 head strikes landed per minute divided by 2.27 head strikes landed against per minute. That is what gives me this 134.1% efficiency. So if you're above 100% efficiency, you're outstriking your opponent. If you're below 100% efficiency, you're getting outstruck in that category. So Song Yadong above in head striking efficiency, leg strikes, and distance strikes. But body strikes, Casey Kenny more efficient there, outlanding his opponents. And then inside the distance, striking efficiency is pretty even, but Casey Kenny does take that as well. Let's go down to advanced significant striking percentages. This is one I kind of just want to look and see, if our guys are head hunting or not, how much they are diversifying their strikes across the body, etc. So We'll take a look at this second column mostly. Head strikes, significant strikes to the head thrown. 81.6% of the significant strikes thrown from Song Yadong are to the head of his opponent. 11% are to the body, and 7.2% are to the legs. We go over to Casey Kenny, and he headhunts even less. 72% of the strikes he throws are to the head, 16% to the body, that's 13th in the division, and almost 11% leg strikes. So he diversifies a little bit better than Song Yadong does. I do like to see that a lot if you've been watching any of these videos at all. Here is a graphical analysis of those percentages we just looked at. So if you like to look at graphs instead, check out these Pac Men and Pac Ladies right there. We'll go down to the last 5 fight history, and we can actually look at this because both guys have more than 5 fights in the UFC. See if any of these numbers have moved around a bit. 4.59 significant strikes landed per minute for Song. 6 landed for Casey Kenny. He does get hit with 5.6 strikes against, though, while Yadong only 4.3. So both guys have a positive striking differential still. 1 knockdown for Song in his last 5. No knockdowns for or against for Casey Kenny in the last 5. Let's see here. Yadong's takedown accuracy, 66.67. 0.48 takedowns landed per 15, and then a 22% takedown accuracy for an identical 0.48 takedowns landed per 15 for Casey Kenny. Takedown defense 50%, 62% for Kenny, so not great really for either one. Control time 9.29% to 3.44%. Both guys have been out-controlled in their last 5. As we said, positive striking differential. Both guys have a negative takedown per 15 differential in their last 5. Casey Kenny being having the worst number. Both guys have a negative control time differential in their last 5. Yadong positive reversals, and then DraftKings points 4, which we don't really talk about on this show. That's a different show. Ass whooping index over the past 5 has gotten much worse compared to his career. It's gone from 5.28 to negative 1.74. Power index has also dropped significantly from 0.9 to 0.35, but the Chindex has stayed the same at 0, still never been knocked down. Casey Kenny also has lowered his ass whoop index from 0.388 to, or negative 3.88 to negative 4.1. Power index still 0, Chindex also still 0. We'll get into these graphs here. This is more of a trending graph. How has the fighter been trending in these categories over the past 5 fights? So for instance, significant striking accuracy plus 1.12%. That means he has improved over his career. His last 5 fights, he's 1.12% better in striking accuracy compared to his career. So that is what these numbers are telling us. He's really fallen off on takedown accuracy and takedown defense. So we'll pay attention to that. On the other side, a bit more level-headed for Casey Kenny, I should say, leveled out. 4 categories out of 8, he is improving or gotten better, trending up, however you want to say it, where the other 4 he has gotten worse. Let's see the best one, takedown defense, plus 9% over his last 5 over his career. Takedown accuracy, though, minus 21%. So a little bit less accurate there, dropping pretty harsh. Last 5 fights. This, strength of schedule and whatnot, I do go outside the UFC for these stats. Everything else on this page is only UFC stats, with the exception of this and the career numbers up here on top. So pretty identical strength of schedule, actually. 74% win percentage, almost 6% for Casey Kenny. His Yadong strength of schedule, 74. Pretty decent. You know, you want to see it right at the 74-75 range. That's about average. You don't really want to dip below that. Anything above is obviously good. Casey Kenny a little bit less at a 0.739. Strength of victory almost identical, and strength of defeat, Casey Kenny has been beaten by just a bit better guys than Song Yadong has on average, according to their records at least. So here we have the last 5 fights with certain statistics of my choosing that are posted here. I think these are the most important ones for the most part, just a basic kind of look without going too much into the fights. So you can obviously see, you know, striking differentials here. You have their DraftKings salaries, DraftKings points, their value, their ass whoop index for each individual fight, etc., etc., etc. So you can go ahead and pause that, take a look. I will scroll up here so you can see it over my beautiful head. And last thing for this fight, we'll get into a few graphs. I do like these graphs. I take a few different of the major categories and kind of break some stuff down over the past 5 fights again. So just a quick breakdown. Solid blue line is our fighter over the past 5 fights and his opponents. The orange line is where his opponents are at. The dashed blue line and the dashed orange line are the same numbers, but they're trend lines. How is a fighter doing over these 5 fights? Is he, not improving or getting worse, but is he, trending up in those categories? And then our solid green line is our fighter's average. Solid yellow line is our opponent's average. So you do want the blue, solid blue, above the solid orange. That's ideal. You want your blue trend line going up. It doesn't matter the degrees, the steeper the better, but you do want your trend line going up, and you'd like to see your opponent's trend line going down. And then lastly, you want your green, solid green line above your solid opponent's solid yellow line. That's your average for the category. So here we are pretty even for the most part, Song Yadong. His blue line is mostly above the orange line. He is trending up. His opponent is also trending up, but it's still below his blue line. And then his average is above his opponent's average. So for now, he is getting the better of the striking game in his past 5 fights. Takedown is the exact opposite, however. Blue line below the orange. He is trending way down to 0. His opponents are trending, way up, almost a 4. And the solid green is below the solid yellow significantly, almost by 2 takedowns per 15. So not much takedown game to work with in the past 5 there. And then we move on to control time percentages. Same kind of thing. Blue line below the orange. His opponent's trending way up. He's trending way down. And then the solid green is below the solid yellow. Not what you want to see there. On the other side, decent looking graph here from Casey Kenny. Trending up on his strikes. His opponents are also trending up, however, but he is still above his opponents. He's still outstriking his opponents on average in the past 5. Takedown numbers, very low, much like the Song Yadong numbers. However, his opponents are trending way down. But he did fight Merab Dvalishvili, who did land 12 takedowns on him. So that kind of fucks the numbers for the rest of his 5 fights there. So I wouldn't put a ton of stock into that. I bet that number's probably lower after this fight, especially. We'll get that 12 takedowns by Merab out of the 5-fight history, and it'll look much different. Control time, same thing. That Merab fight really kind of fucked him. The Dominic Cruz fight, though, he did, give up 14% control time in that fight. So his opponents are going down. He's actually trending up, though. You do like to see that. He's trending up on his takedowns as well. So you do like to see that stuff. All right, guys, that is the Song Yadong Casey Kenny fight. Took a little bit, but the first fight of the card, or of my video, always does, because I explain a couple of things that I don't talk about later in the video. Next fight, Tecia Torres. Oh, I love this nickname. I love alliteration. Tecia, the Tiny Tornado Torres. Oh, that's so fun to say. Against Angela Overkill Hill. Also fun to say, because, rhyming is almost as fun as alliteration. So I'm loving these names right now. Let's get it. Tecia Torres, I never remember how tiny of a tornado that she is until I see this stat. 5'1", 60-inch reach, compared to Angela Hill, 5'3", 64-inch reach. And Hill is 5.5 years older than Tecia Torres. Torres 12-5 professionally. 11% of her fights do not go the distance. Very low finishing numbers here, but she has never been finished. She's 8-5 in the UFC. Angela Hill, let's see here, 13-9 professionally. Almost 32% of her fights don't see the distance. And let's see, 38% of her wins have come by knockout. And she has been subbed in 22% of her losses. She's 8-9 in the UFC. So going down, we got, they are ranked as well. 10 versus 12 here, respectively. Average fight time is about the same, over 13.5 minutes. 2.07 ass whoop index for Tecia Torres. That's about good for half average in the division. And Angela Hill is below that at 0.07, but still positive. So she does still whoop some ass, a little bit of ass. 18th in the division. She has a 0.23 power index, which is 10 points better than a 0.13 for Tecia Torres. Neither one has been knocked down, hence the 0 Chindex. Let's go down to some odds here. Opening line was a even for Tecia Torres. She's now minus 137, and Angela Hill has flipped from opening at minus 120 to being at about a plus 113 currently right now. Plus 250 fight doesn't go. Minus 325 fight goes to decision. That's the highest goes to decision odds on the entire card there. Tisha Torres, just for note, does have the second highest fighter to win by decision odds at a plus 125. A couple of notable and notable performances here. You want to take a look at that. Fight finishing data. This is just the UFC finishes, obviously. 25% of Torres' wins have been by finish, never been finished. Mostly decision fighter, and same with Angela Hill. However, she has been finished twice, 2 submission losses. And then graphically, you can see all of that right there. Let's get this one out of the way so you can see it. All right. And mostly decision wins. Each of them have 6 decision wins there. Most decision wins and decision losses across the board. Striking data. Excuse me. Let's see. 4.29 strikes landed from Tisha Torres per minute at a 47, almost 48% accuracy. Angel Hill beats that significantly. 5.66 strikes landed per minute at a 50% accuracy. So really good numbers there. Defensively, 3.37 strikes landed against per minute for Tisha Torres at a 62% defense. On the other side, Hill, 4.98 strikes landed against per minute at a 64% defense. So pretty good defense from both, but the volume for Hill is a bit concerning. Both have a positive significant strikes per minute differential, 0.93 for Torres and a 0.69 for Angela Hill. And then time fought at distance for each. 59.8% of Tisha Torres' fights were fought at the distance. So that's a pretty, a lot of her fights are inside the distance. A lot of her time is inside the distance there. As you can see, compared to Angela Hill, who has more fight time, but 71, almost 72% was fought at distance. That is third highest in the division. Knockdown data, 1 for Tisha Torres, 0.09 knockdown per 15 rate, 0 knockdowns against her. 3 knockdowns for Angela Hill. That is a 0.19 knockdown per 15 rate, and no one's knocked her down. Takedown data, 15.09% accuracy for Tisha Torres. That is abysmal. 0.68 takedowns landed per 15, and she throws 4.52 per minute. So that's a lot of wasted energy. 4.5 takedowns attempted per 15 minutes, and you only land 15% of it. Takedowns landed against 1.79 for a 56% takedown defense, so not great there either. Angela Hill, 0.45 takedowns landed per 15, so even less than Torres, but her accuracy is much better, but still bad, 36.84. Her defense is much better, however. 1.16 takedowns landed against per 15 at a 77% takedown defense rate. So all those takedowns that Torres throws, she's not going to be able to get them on Angela Hill, I don't think, at all. At least statistically, this just says that Tisha Torres won't be able to take her down. Obviously, MMA math doesn't always work like that, but that's why you have to watch your fight tape. Takedown shooting rate, 3.36% for Tisha Torres compared to 0.72 for Angela Hill. Both have a negative takedown per 15 differential. Tisha's is a little bit higher, however, or lower, I should say. And then not much to talk about with these statistics here. You can just kind of look at them. Percentage of fights won when attempting 2 or more takedowns for Tisha, which she attempts 4.5. And that was 9 fights. She has won 6 of them, so something's working for her there. Percentage of fights won for Angela Hill when she attempts 2 or more takedowns, 80%. That's only, 4 out of 5 fights. Let's see here. And she does still win 50% of the fights that she fights when she faces 2 or more takedown attempts. So that's a pretty good number there. I do like to see that. I'd like it to be higher, but 50% is what it is. Control time data, 21.26% for Tisha Torres, 18, almost 19% against, so pretty even. Angela Hill, significantly less, 11.19 control time for 11.18, and then 17% against. So she is getting out-controlled there, whereas Tisha Torres has a positive control time. Time fought inside percent fought inside the distance, 40.2%. And then 28.2% for Angela Hill. Get up time for Tisha Torres, 41.65. It's good for 11th. And then even better, 30.62 for Angela Hill. Hold down time is double for Hill as it is for Torres, 82 to 42. And then control time activity rate, Angela Hill's control time is fantastic. Or her control time activity rate, 18.84. That's good for 6th in the division. And she has a ton of control time too, 26 minutes. That's not a ton, but it's more than like one. 7.01 for Tisha Torres. So a decent number there, about a little less than half through the division, a little less than average, I should say. And then the control time numbers when facing 2 or more takedowns. Not really too much of a disparagement there between the two. Submission and reversal data. 100% success rate for Torres, 1 of 1. 100% defensive rate, 1 of 1. Angela Hill has tried 2 submissions, both failed, and 2 submissions have been thrown against her and both succeeded. So not great against the submissions there. 5.56 reversals per takedown landed. 5.56%, I should say. And every time Tisha Torres lands a takedown, or not every time, I do this every time, 37.5% of the time Tisha Torres lands a takedown, her opponent does reverse her. Angela Hill is the opposite, 0 for that, 0 reversals. Advanced striking data, what jumps out? Fantastic head striking defense from Tisha Torres, 2nd in the division, compared to 4th in the division for Angela Hill. Volume-wise, we're not there, but we are for Tisha there. So pretty good defense. Distance striking defense, 3rd. So it's right there with the head striking defense. 6th for Angela Hill. Clinch striking defense, 2nd. So a couple of good numbers here. Top 10 numbers for Angela Hill. A lot of the striking and defensive numbers there. Head striking accuracy. Let's see here. Both positive. Tisha Torres, 170%. She does get outstruck to the body, whereas Angela Hill outstrikes her opponents. And Tisha outstrikes her opponents everywhere else. Angela Hill gets outstroiked to the legs, 66%. There barely outstrikes her opponents in the distance, or at distance, and inside the distance, she is killing her opponents. An average of over 2 to 1 strikes there. Let's see, both ladies love to mix up the strikes. Like to see that. 73, almost 74% of the strikes Tisha Torres throws are to the head, 14 to the body, and 11.5 to the legs. Love it, love it. And we're right there too with Angela Hill. 74% of the strikes she throws to the head, 20% to the body. Love to see that body getting targeted. And then 6% to the legs. Let's see the body strikes landed against Tisha Torres. Almost last, 29th. And Angela Hill does love those body strikes. Just saying. Graphical analysis of the things we just talked about. Check out your Pac-Man there. Fight history, last 5. All right. Angela Hill's dominating this. Absolutely dominating this last 5 category. Strikes landed per minute. She does get hit with a few more strikes, but Tisha Torres is getting outlanded in these past 5 fights. Takedown accuracy, 4%, 4.5%. Terrible. Takedown defense is decent at 75, but it's not better than Angela Hill, 82. Control time, not as good as Angela Hill. Tisha Torres, negative on all of her differentials. Striking, takedowns, control time, reversals in her last 5. Whereas Angela Hill, almost a strike positive per minute. She is a bit low, a bit below 0 on her takedowns landed, her differential there. Positive control time, differential is 0, and DraftKings points are positive as well. Ass whooping index has gone from 0.07 for Angela Hill to 3.2 in the last 5, whereas Tisha Torres's has gone the opposite way, 2.07 to negative 2.16. No power in the past 5, not gotten knocked down either. Angela Hill has improved her power by barely, but still there, 0.24 power index, no chindex. Look at these green numbers, improving. In her takedown game, we do love to see that. And the striking game has not dropped off that much. Tisha Torres, however, takedown defense looking great, improvement, but minus 10% takedown accuracy, and she's already at like a 4% there. So, ouch, ouch, ouch. Strength of schedule, it's not even close. Tisha Torres dominates this. 83% opponent's win percentage. That is something right there. Almost 0.8 strength of schedule. That's fantastic. 0.7 strength of victory is okay. 0.88 strength of defeat is awesome. Whereas Angela Hill in the 60s and 50s for the most part across the board, not looking great there. You can kind of take a look at all of the fights, the last 5 fights. Do we have any common opponents here? I don't believe so, which is kind of strange for the strawweight division, but I digress. See those last two, Jing Wei Li, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. These are the caliber of fighters that Tecia Torres is fighting. You know, in the past few, it hasn't been as good, but you know, she has fought Zhang and Joanna in the past 5. Graphs, we got the blue trending way up for the significant strikes for Tecia Torres. Her opponent's trending down, and that green line is getting ever so close to the opponent's yellow line. So she is improving significantly there. That's what happens when you don't fight Joanna and Wei Li back to back. Let's see here. Takedowns, we are trending up pretty good for Tecia Torres, but that's because she did get a takedown against Sam Hughes in her last fight. It was 0 before that. She is way below her opponent there. And we are trending way down on control time. Opponents are trending up, and we are way below our opponents there on the average. So bad graph for Tecia Torres. Let's go over to Angela Hill. Trending down, but our opponent is also trending down in strikes, and we're still above our opponent's average. Blue line's above the orange. No complaints there for the striking, except for maybe that trend line. But we'll see how this fight goes. Let's see. Takedowns, abysmal. Trending way down. Opponent's trending way up. Opponent's average is above our average. Not a great graph for takedown lands per 15. Control time data is better. However, our opponents are trending way up while we are trending down. But we are still above the average line there. So that's going to finish us up for the Tecia Torres, Angela Hill fight. The Tecia Tiny Tornado Torres. I just wanted to say that one more time. What time are we at? 36 minutes. I got to speed this up. Michael Chiesa going against Vicente Luque. Love this fight. Welterweight fight. Michael Chiesa, 6'1", 75-inch reach southpaw against Vicente Luque, 5'11", 75-inch reach orthodox. And Chiesa is just about 4 years older than Luque. Fight does. Let's see. Chiesa 18-4 professionally, 11-4 in the UFC. Here's some fight. 68% of his professional fights do not go the distance. 61% finished by sub. Vicente Luque, an even better finish rate. Huge knockout rate right there. Take a look at those. Career fight statistics. Average fight time just under 10 minutes for Chiesa. Just 8.5 for Vicente Luque. 10.52 ass whoop index. 10.09 ass whoop index. So 11 and 12 respectively right there. Chiesa 0.35 power index compared to Vicente Luque 1.27. That's good for 10th in the division there, and he's got a lot of fights, so that is a solid number. No chin dex for Michael Chiesa, never been knocked down. Vicente Luque 0.25 chin dex. Opening line, Chiesa opened at plus 140. He is now currently sitting at about an even. Minus 160 for Luque, currently at minus 120. This fight is minus 105, doesn't go. Plus 125 does go. Fight finishing data, that's the UFC fights. 54% of Michael Chiesa's wins have been finishes. 100% of his 4 losses have been finishes. 92% of Vicente's wins have been finishes, never been finished. All of his, 3 losses are decision losses. There is the graphical representation of that. Look at that. 8 KO losses, 8 KO wins for Vicente Luque, 4 sub wins for Luque, 6 subs for Chiesa, 3 sub losses for Chiesa. So moving on, striking data. 1.89 significant strikes landed for Chiesa per minute at a 40% accuracy. We're gonna see that Luque is a much better striker. That should not come to a surprise to anyone that has paid any attention to fights in the past 5 years. Michael Chiesa not really known for his striking. Let's see here. 5.74 significant strikes landed per minute for Luque at a 54% clip. Defensively, Chiesa 1.71 strikes landed against, 54% defense. 5.78 strikes landed against at a 52% defense for Luque. That is terrible towards the bottom of the division. So he eats mad punches. Striking differential, for not being a striker, Chiesa has a positive differential, 0.18 significant strikes landed per minute compared to Vicente Luque, minus 0.04 significant strikes landed per minute. Time fought at distance, Michael Chiesa, only 34% of his, that's 63rd out of 66. So 62 people have more time fought at distance in this weight class than Michael Chiesa. That's going to come into play later. 67.8% Vicente Luque time fought at distance. 1 knockdown for Michael Chiesa, 10 knockdowns for Luque. That is a 1.1 knockdown per 15 rate. That is a crazy number. 4th in the division. This guy's got power for days. Takedown data. 3.6 takedowns landed per 15 minutes for Michael Chiesa at a 53% rate. That is phenomenal. That is high volume stuff. He's throwing 6.81 takedowns per 15 and landing 3.6. So I love to see that. Luque, on the other hand, is the opposite. He only lands 0.66 takedowns per 15 minutes at a 50% accuracy exactly. Michael Chiesa, defense, 0.8 takedowns landed against at a 68% defense. Pretty good there. Luque, a few more takedowns, 1.42 per 15 at a 65, almost 66% defense. So not quite as good as Chiesa. Chiesa's takedown shooting rate, 9.7 compared to Luque's 0.83. His opponents have tried to take him down 2.28%. I assume he's going to be, that number is going to go way up after this Chiesa fight. Takedown differential, absolutely phenomenal. 2.8 on the positive side for Michael Chiesa, takedowns per 15, whereas Luque is negative 0.77. Takedowns landed when attempting 2 or more takedowns. He's done that, Chiesa, in 14 of his fights. He lands 3.72 takedowns when he attempts just 2 or more takedowns. So huge numbers there, big time. Not a big difference, but a huge number. Percent of his fights won when he throws 2 or more takedowns, almost 79%. So pretty good number. 1.4. Let's see, takedowns landed per 15 when facing 2 or more. So that number is barely changing for Chiesa. I guess it is going up half a takedown. But he still wins 83% of those fights. So if he's getting taken down, he really does not care. 3.77 takedowns landed per 15 when Luque attempts 2 or more. That's only happened twice, and he's won 1 of those fights. The takedowns landed against, here's a big number. When Luque faces 2 or more takedowns, his takedown landed against number goes from 1.42 to 2.69. That is almost double. And I mean, Chiesa's average per 15 is 3.6. So that's going to be a huge number. He still does win 2/3 of those fights, but I don't know about this one, man. I don't think he's ever fought a wrestler like Chiesa. I'll have to check, though, when we get down into our last 5 fights. Control time, 48% for Chiesa against 17% control time against. Whereas Luque, still that 17% control time against, but that 48 is now a 14.5. So he is getting out-controlled, whereas Chiesa has a 2.77 positive control time ratio there. Time fought inside the distance. Here we go. Michael Chiesa has fought 66% of his time inside the distance. That is good for 4th in the division. You could say he's pretty comfortable fighting inside the distance. Whereas Luque is the opposite, 32%. Get up time, 63 for Chiesa, but he's not necessarily trying to get up. He does not care about getting up. He wants to submit you on the ground. He wants to reverse you. He wants to ground and pound you. Hold down time, 64. Fantastic. Luque's get up time, 37.8. Not great for a guy that probably does not want to be on the ground, but he does have a 35% career submission win percentage. So it's not like he doesn't want to be on the ground, I should say. His hold down time, fantastic, over 100 seconds. That's good for 7th in the division. Control time activity rate, 3.66 for Chiesa, 8.19 for Luque. So when he is in control, he is doing work, putting work in. Control time when Chiesa attempts 2 or more takedowns goes from 48 to 49. So he's going to get that control time no matter what. And then when his opponents are throwing 2 or more, it goes from 17 to 18. So not terrible. Luque's, on the other hand, when he throws 2 or more takedowns, which he's not going to do on Michael Chiesa, goes from 14% to 45%. What a difference. And then opposingly, when his opponents go attempt 2 or more takedowns, his control time against dips from 14.5 all the way to 30. So again, that's something to look forward to against Chiesa. Chiesa's going to get that control time, and he's going to get those takedowns. Submission and reversal data, 66.67 submission success rate for Michael Chiesa. That's going to be a 6 out of 9 there for 8th in the division. and he's got a 70% submission defense rate. So he has tapped 3 times submissions. Luke, 50% submission success rate. No one's tried to sub him. Chiesa has much higher submission attempt rate, 1.28 compared to 0.55. And then we'll look at some reversals here. Every time, do this every time. You're going to see me do that every time. 25% of the takedowns landed against Chiesa, he gets a reversal on them. 8% of the time he lands a takedown, a reversal is had against him. Whereas Luke, much lower. Every time. 7.69% of the time a takedown is landed against Luke, he is getting a reversal off. So not too often. Much higher for Michael Chiesa. Advanced significant striking data. Our numbers for our man Chiesa are going to be down. Our numbers for our guy Luke are going to be not as high as I thought. Pretty average or below average for some of these numbers here, especially in the defensive categories. Distance striking accuracy, though, is very good. 3rd in the division, 52%. Clinch striking accuracy, almost 80%. Who's getting outstruck? Luke is getting outstruck to the head, to the body, and at distance. Just barely, but he is getting outstruck. Yeah, his striking accuracy at distance is 3rd, but his striking defense 53rd. Not good. He is outstriking his opponents to the head. He's getting outstruck to the body, outstruck to the legs, outstruck at distance, but inside the distance, just killing it. 3-1, over 3.5 to 1. Luke's up there too, just under 3.5 to 1. But as we know, Chiesa spends much more time on the ground than Luke does. Striking accuracy. This is, I'm sure, is from ground. But yeah, exactly. Let's check out ground strikes thrown. 7th in the division. 20% of the strikes thrown for Michael Chiesa have been on the ground. Over 30% of the strikes he has landed have come on the ground. Insane. So these graphs are much different than what we're used to seeing over here. Fantastic. So I assume also Luke's chart is going to get changed up after this fight as well. Last 5 fight history. It's looking pretty good for Chiesa. He lands much lower volume, obviously. 1.53 significant strikes landed per minute compared to 6.61. But look at this. Luke's landing all that, and he's still getting outstruck. 7.53 significant strikes landed against per minute. Chiesa's getting hit with almost 7 significant strikes less per minute than Vicente Luque in the past 5 fights. That is a ton of damage Luque is taking. Just an absolute ton of damage. No knockdowns for or against for Luque. For Chiesa. 3 knockdowns for, 1 knockdown against for Luque. Takedown numbers, 67.74% accuracy, 0% for Luque in his last 5 fights. 0. His takedown defense is good, 77.78. But still, that's 0. Crazy. 66% control time for Chiesa to a 6 for Luque. Chiesa is positive across the board here. Luque is negative across the board in his last 5. Negative, almost a whole strike differential. Minus half a takedown per 15. Minus 5% control time. His ass whoop index has gone from a 10 to a 3.5 in his last 5. Chiesa is doing the exact opposite. Almost a strike difference positive. 4.27 takedowns landed per 15 differential in his last 5. That is a crazy number. 56% control time differential. I mean, it's just crazy. He's gone from an ass whoop index of 10.5, very respectable, to an almost 15. No power, so that's dipped off, but never been knocked down either. He's improving everywhere, except for his significant strikes landed per minute has dipped down by 1/3 of a strike, and his takedown defense has gone down by 1% over his past 5. Everywhere else, I mean, his takedown accuracy has gone up 15% in his past 5 fights compared to his career. Just crazy. Striking defense. Striking efficiency. Great numbers. Strength of schedule is almost identical, but Luque does have the advantage. That strength of defeat is pretty high compared to Chiesa's. But, I mean, these guys are fighting killers, man. Chiesa's fought Magny, Dos Anjos, Sanchez, Condit, and then lost to Anthony Pettis. Luque's fought Woodley, Randy Brown, Nico Price, lost to Wonderboy, Mike Perry. I mean, these guys are fighting some good quality competition for the most part. So, take a look at those numbers there. And we'll move on to our graphs. Let's see here. Striking looks not great for Chiesa, but his blue is above the orange and the green is above the yellow. So I shouldn't say not great. It's looking pretty good. He's just trending down, but so is his opponent. Takedown numbers, fantastic graph. Control time numbers, look at that. Look at that. He's way up here. You know, when people say, I'm up here and you're down here, this is literally what this graph is doing for control time. That's why I love these graphs, seeing this stuff. Luque's graphs, not great. He is improving his striking, his volume numbers, I should say. His opponents are trending down, but the average is still below. I mean, 7.53 strikes landed against per minute. You can't keep up with that. Very bad takedown graph here. Control time is okay. I mean, his opponents aren't doing much, and he's controlled a very good amount of the Woodley fight, over 50%. So that definitely helped his numbers there. All right, guys, that is the stats for the Chiesa Luque fight. We got 2 more to go. Jose Aldo, if I could type. Wow, apparently I cannot. All right, against Pedro Munoz. Oh, I'm excited for this one. Bantamweight fight. Jose Aldo, 5'7", 70-inch reach, compared to Pedro Munoz, 5'6", 65-inch reach. They are surprisingly 2 days apart in age. Pedro Munoz is 2 days older than Jose Aldo. That's kind of crazy. 29-7 is the professional record for Jose Aldo. Take a look at these finish numbers there. I'm not going to read them all off in hopes of brevity, or for brevity's sake. 11-6 in the UFC. He is 5th is his current ranking. Pedro Munoz, 19-5. Some decent finish rates there as well. Never been finished in his career. Never been finished. 9-5 in the UFC. 1 no contest. He's got 15 fights, and he is ranked number 9. Average fight time for Jose Aldo. We are in championship rounds for average fight time. Over 16, almost 16 and a half minutes. Compared to 10 minutes for Pedro Munoz there. -157 ass whoop index for Jose Aldo, compared to a 5.52 for Pedro Munoz there. Power index 0.43 to 0.58. Chindex 0.27 for Aldo compared to 0 for Munoz, who's never been knocked down. Opening line, Aldo -138, currently -119. Not too much movement. Pedro Munoz opened at +115. He is even right now. +140 fight doesn't go. -170 fight does go. Some notable performances there. Oh, look at this. I hate seeing this. Conor McGregor, the -719 ass whoop index in that fight. Just crazy. Fight finishing data. This is for the UFC fights. 36% of all those wins have come by finish. 66% of his losses have come by finish. Opposite for Pedro Munoz, 2/3 of his wins have come by finish, never been finished in the UFC. As we said, all 5 of his losses have been decision losses. Graphical analysis there, 7 decision losses decision wins for Jose Aldo, and 3 KOs, 3 subs, and 3 decisions for Pedro Munoz. 4 KO wins for Aldo. That is also notable. Striking data, 3.29 strikes landed significant strikes landed per minute for Aldo at a 43% rate. Not too good. Pedro Munoz, 5.6%, or 5.6 significant strikes landed per minute at a 44% accuracy. So not great accuracy, but the volume is definitely there. Defensively, Jose Aldo's getting outstruck. He gets 4 shots landed on him per minute at a 60% defense. Oof. Pedro Munoz, though, 5.87 strikes landed against per minute at a 58% defense. So not great. Both have negative significant striking per minute differentials. -0.71 for Aldo, -0.27 for Pedro Munoz. Time fought at distance, 76% for Aldo, 90.5% for Pedro Munoz. Fought at distance. Knockdown data, Jose Aldo has a 0.21 knockdown per 15 rate. Pedro Munoz has over double that, 0.49 knockdown per 15 rate there. Takedowns landed per 15, 0.64 for Jose Aldo at a 54% accuracy, so not terrible for accuracy's sake. Not a lot of volume. 0.68 takedowns landed per 15 for Pedro Munoz at a 21% accuracy, so he's not really into throwing or landing takedowns. Jose Aldo's takedown defense, 90% almost. 90%. Compared to Pedro Munoz, no slouch there either, 80%. Takedown shooting rate 1.04 to 1.68, so not too much of a difference there. Jose Aldo does have a positive differential, 0.21 takedowns per 15 differential compared to a minus 0.19. Compare a couple of numbers here. Ooh, look at this. When Jose Aldo attempts 2 or more takedowns, 4 fights he's done that in, his takedown per 15 rate goes from 0.64 to 2.2, and he's won every single one of those fights. Wowie. Let's see. Takedown rate against does not move too much, but I love this. Wow, 2.2 from 0.64. Pedro Munoz too. He's had 6 fights where he's attempted 2 or more takedowns, and he's increased his takedown average from 0.68 per 15 to 1.5, and he's won 5 out of 6 of those fights. He has lost half of the fights that he's fought when facing 2 or more takedowns. Just an interesting little tidbit there. Sorry, I'm still impressed. I just love these stats. I love coming up with new stats, and I love seeing, I haven't even looked at all of them for, the new stats. I haven't looked for everybody on this card yet. So I'm seeing these for the first time as well. Control time data, 11.86 for Jose Aldo, 12% against. So he is getting out-controlled there just barely. Even lower numbers for Munoz, 6.29, 3.26 against. Percentage of time fought inside the distance, 24% for Jose Aldo, less than 10% for Pedro Munoz. So he chooses to not fight inside the distance. His get-up time, 6.54. That is fantastic. I think only TJ Dillashaw is probably in first place still. Jose Aldo, get-up time, 27.5. Hold down time, fantastic, 90.45 seconds compared to only 17.61. So as you can see from these very low numbers, Pedro Munoz does not like to be on the ground or be controlled. Control time activity rate, we have a 19 compared to a 5.49, so pretty big gap there. Control time differential, when Jose Aldo attempts 2 or more takedowns, he goes from 12% control time to 30. Fantastic. Fantastic. Submission and reversal data. Jose Aldo never had a submission in the UFC, apparently. Is that true? It is true. Okay. Interesting. No one's attempted to sub against him. Let's see here. No reversals either. Every time Pedro Munoz gets a takedown landed, I did it again. 11% of the time Pedro Munoz gets a takedown landed against him, he reverses it. Let's see here. Striking efficiency, what am I looking for? Pretty average numbers all the way across the board. For Aldo, nothing is jumping out at me there. Couple of good defensive numbers for Munoz. Volume numbers for Munoz are very good. Very, very high in the division. Top 10, top 5, top 15. Defense, not so much, though, for the most part. Efficiency, Jose Aldo gets outstruck everywhere. Everywhere. Everywhere? Forever, but everywhere. Pedro Munoz gets outstruck to the head and at distance, but body, legs, and inside the distance, surprisingly, he is outstriking his opponents. Advanced significant striking percentages. Pedro Munoz, 67.89% of the strikes he throws are to the head, so he's not headhunting. 15.8 to the body, 16.3 to the legs. Look at that disbursement. A little less for Jose Aldo. He throws to the head, I should say more. 81.26% of the strikes he throws are to the head, 12% to the body, 6.5 to the legs. Distance strikes thrown, 92% for both guys there. Last 5 fight history, there's the graphs if you want to look at that. Almost identical, at least offensively. 5 fight history, look at this. Pedro Munoz smashing it. 6.8 strikes landed for compared to 3. He did fix the differential in the last 5, so still a high number of strikes landed against at 6.64, but he did fix that differential. 88% takedown defense, 80% takedown defense for Aldo. Pretty good numbers. Minus 2.4 significant strikes landed per minute. Ouch. For Aldo in the last 5. He's got a negative takedown differential, negative control time differential. Oof. That ass whoop index has gone from minus 1.57 to minus 8.57. Power has gone from 0.43 to 0. Chin is about the same. Not improving hardly anywhere at all in those categories. Whereas Pedro Munoz, positive differential, a negative takedown differential, negative control time differential, but just barely. And that ass whoop index has dropped a bit from 5.5 to 4. Power index has dropped from 0.58 to 0.47, and the chin index is still there. However, he is improving in more of his categories. That takedown accuracy, minus 20% in his past 5. Oof. But look at Jose Aldo, minus 54% in his last 5. God damn. God damn. All right. Strength of schedule. Jose Aldo pretty much takes this one with the exception of strength of victory, but they are pretty close. That strength of defeat number is not very close, though. Much better for Aldo. Opponent win rate over 80%, right about at 80 for strength of schedule. Fantastic. So there are his fights. I'm going to take a look at any of those numbers. Go ahead and pause it. I'll scroll up, move my head out of the way. Actually, do we have any similar opponents here? I don't believe so. Not in this one. Okay. I do like to look at those a little bit if they do arise. Graphs here. Not a great graph for Jose Aldo. He's trending down. He's far below his opponent's striking level, and his average is far below his opponent's average. Same with takedown data. Oof. Big fat 0 in the past 5. Not much happening from either side, but his opponents still get the better of him. And then control time data. He did get 33%, it looks like, against Marlon Vera. Other than that, he's been close to 0, and his opponents are trending up as well. So not great graphs from Jose Aldo. Pedro Munoz, on the other hand, trending down. Opponents also trending down. Got smashed by Aljamain Sterling, but his average is just above his opponent's average there at 6.8, it looks like. Takedowns, big fat 0 for Pedro Munoz. Opponents going way up, but not much to speak of. Almost looks just like the Jose Aldo graph. Control time. I mean, everybody's just crashing into the ground here. Not much to speak of, but he is still getting out-controlled. I mean, 1% to 0.8%, that's... Like we said, he spends over 90% of his time at distance. So both of these guys kind of, I assume this is going to be an at-distance kind of fight. I mean, if Jose Aldo starts to get peppered up, he might go for the takedowns, which would be smart. But still, we'll have to see. I got to tape this one more. He doesn't have that 54% accuracy. So that is going to come in handy, I think, because I think Pedro Munoz is going to start to pepper him up a little bit. All right, guys, we did it. Last fight of the night, of the card, of the main card, of this video. It is Derek Lewis against Cyril Gane. Gane, I'm going to say Gane probably. I'll probably pronounce it 15 different ways, though. Derek Lewis, 6'3", 79-inch reach. Cyril Gane, 6'4", 81-inch reach. He is 5 years younger, 5 years, 2 months younger than Derek Lewis. Professionally, Lewis, 25-7. 81% of his fights do not go the distance. 80% of his wins in his career have come by knockout. He does have a submission in there also. 57% of his losses have been by knockout. 16-5 in the UFC. This guy's been fighting forever in the UFC. He's currently number second. He is number 2 in the division. Cyril Gane, professionally undefeated, 9-0, 6-0 in the UFC. He is 3rd in the division. 66.67% of his fights don't go the distance. 33% of his wins have been by knockout. 33% have been by sub, and he's never been finished. Well, he's never had a loss. Average fight time for Lewis, 9.54 minutes. And Cyril Gane, we are in championship time here for average fight time, over 15 minutes. Ass whoop index for Lewis, surprisingly, minus 1.8 in his career. Whereas Cyril Gane is plus 11.96 in his career ass whoop index. So he be whooping people's ass. 10th in the division. Power index 0.3 compared to a whopping 1.35 from Derek Lewis. Lewis's chin index, though, however, 0.46. That's good for 25th out of 42 in the heavyweight division. Cyril Gane, 0 chin index. That is perfect. Opening line, plus 275 for Lewis. He is sitting at plus 284 right now, so not too much movement. Whereas Gane opened at minus 325. He is currently minus 369, the highest odds on the card to win. Fight doesn't go decision is -200. That's the third highest doesn't go odds on the card. Does go +160. And Cyril Gane is even money to win inside the distance here. And he's a +200 to win by decision. Derek Lewis +1200 to win by decision. Wouldn't that be something? Couple notable performances there. You can go ahead and take a look if you wish. Fight finishing data. 75% of the UFC fights that Derek Lewis has been in have been finished. Yeah, that's it. End of sentence. I don't know why I said it like that. 100% of his losses have been by finish. So all 5 of his losses, he's been, 4 of them he's been knocked out. 1 of them he's been submitted. 50% of Cyril Gane's wins have been finishes. No losses. 12 knockout wins for Derek Lewis. 12. Fantastic. He has actually been knockout TKO'd 4 times in his career. Only 1 for Gane. 2 submission wins for him, and 3 unanimous decision wins. Striking data. Sorry for scrolling all over. 2.59 strikes landed per minute for Derek Lewis, 50% accuracy. Defensively, he's getting hit with 2.16 strikes per minute at a 45% defense. So he does have a positive differential there, 0.43 differential. Cyril Gane, 5.13 strikes landed per minute, 54% accuracy, fantastic. 2.6 strikes landed against per minute, also fantastic number at a 63% defense. So Gane's striking numbers are out of this world. Honestly, they're fantastic. Significant striking differential 2.53. That's good for 3rd in the heavyweight division. Time fought at distance. 56% of Derek Lewis's fight time has been at distance, whereas 91% of Cyril Gane's fight time has been at distance. 91. So you know what he's going to do. I mean, Derek Lewis wants to stand and bang, but he gets taken down occasionally. He does get takedowns as well, but not too often. Let's see here. Knockdowns. 7 knockdowns for Derek Lewis. 2 against. He's got a 0.52 knockdown per 15 rate, whereas Cyril Gane has a 0.33 knockdown per 15 rate. Never been knocked down. Takedown data. 0.52 takedowns landed per 15 at a 27% accuracy, so not great volume and terrible accuracy. Same thing with Cyril Gane. 0.82 takedowns landed per 15. So better accuracy or better volume, but not great. And then a terrible accuracy number. However, he has stuffed all 3 takedowns shot against him for 100% defense. And Derek Lewis has a 54% takedown defense. 2.62 takedowns landed against per 15. Takedown shooting rate for Lewis, 2.52. Cyril Gane, 2.67. So surprisingly higher than Derek Lewis's, interestingly enough. Whereas Derek Lewis, his opponent, takedown shooting rate is almost 10 because they don't want to stand with him, and Cyril Gane, 0.46. Takedowns per 15 differential, -2.1 for Lewis, +0.12 for Cyril Gane. Not much change to these numbers here for Derek Lewis. We're going to you can just take a look at them. We're going to skip through them. Control time data, 11.88% for Derek Lewis, 32% against. Cyril Gane, 8.79 control time for, and basically none against. No control time. His get up time is 1 second. He's never been taken down, so that has to do with the clinch. Hold down time, 21 seconds. He's not interested in any of that. Time fought inside the distance, 44% for Lewis, less than 9% for Cyril Gane. So, yes, sir. Submission and reversal data, no attempts for Lewis. 7 sub attempts against, and it looks like 6 of them were successfully defended. 8.57. I almost did it. I fixed it. 8.57% of the time Derek Lewis gets a takedown landed on him, he reverses it. And 42.8% of the time he lands a takedown, it gets reversed. Couple of striking numbers here. Not much standing out, except Gane has much better striking numbers all the way around, pretty much. defensively and offensively compared to Lewis. But that is not surprisingly. Lewis gets outstruck to the body, to the legs, and at distance. But his head striking efficiency, he's outstriking his opponents, I should say. And inside the distance, he's also outstriking his opponents. But look at these numbers from Gane. Outstriking his opponents everywhere. Inside the distance, 8-1. At distance, almost 2-1. 3.5-1 to the body, 2-1 to the head. My goodness, those are crazy numbers right there. Those efficiency numbers. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Here we go. Look at this. Not a headhunter here. 60% of the strikes thrown from Gane have been to the head, 20% to the body, 20% to the legs. Oh, love to see it. Love to see it. Derek Lewis, 84% of his strikes have been to the head, 11 to the legs, and 11, almost 12 to the body, and 3.5 to the legs. 30% of the strikes Derek Lewis has thrown have been on the ground, whereas a 1.86 comparatively to Cyril Gane. And Cyril Gane's never been hit with a ground strike. Never even had one thrown on him. Never been on the ground. Huh? Here are the graphs for those numbers there. Let's move on to the last 5 fight history. Let's see here. Gane is demolishing all of this, except for takedown accuracy, 23-40. Control time is 9% to 11%. Not really a difference. But look at this differential. 2.56 differential compared to a 0.33. Negative takedown differential for Lewis. Negative control time differential for Lewis. Positive 0.86 takedowns landed per 15 for Gane. Positive control time. I mean, the ass whoop index is still above 11. And it's even worse for Derek Lewis over his past 5, man. He is he falling off? I don't know. He smashed Curtis Blades. So maybe this is all just averaging out. His power index has gone up from a 1.35 to 2, but his Chindex has gone from a 0.46 to a huge 1.19. Do not want to see that at all. At all. He is improving, though. His only numbers that have gone down are his striking accuracy and his volume. Whereas Cyril Gane has improved in a few cases, but his striking has gone down just a tad. I mean, it's basically the same. He is pretty consistent here. Strength of schedule. It's not too close, but it's not too far apart, but Derek Lewis does take that. 76% win percentage to 74.5. 76 strength of schedule to 73. Strength of defeat is better, or strength of victory is better, and Cyril Gane has no strength of defeat because he has never been defeated. If Derek Lewis doesn't get the knockout finish, it's an ugly fight. And you don't need me to tell you that, but just some of these numbers, man. Oof. Oof. And we will finish it up. Well, let me scroll up here in case you wanted to see those numbers. My big head in the way. And our last graphs of the card. Derek Lewis, decent striking. He's trending up. Opponent's trending down. His average is above his opponent's average. That's really what you want to see. Takedowns trending up, opponent trending down. That number is coming back down, but 2.15 landed per 15 compared to 0.62. Not great. And then control time is just what you would expect. He is trending up, but so is his opponent. And that number average is above his average. Some really good graphs from Gane on the other hand. Striking, this is a fantastic striking graph. Love to see it. He is trending down, but just barely. He's trending way down on takedowns landed per 15. Apparently he did have one. Is that correct? Against Dontel Mays? I thought he didn't have any. No, he did. He landed 3. My mistake. I'm thinking of takedowns against. So he is coming down there, but his average is still above his opponent's average, which is 0. And then control time, same thing. Under 10%, but he has hardly 0 control time against him. So some good graphs there from Gane. All right, guys, we did it. We made it through the main card. Took us an hour and 15 minutes, but here we are. I really appreciate you hanging with me this whole time. If you stuck with me, go ahead and hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Do me a favor. Share this with anybody who might, get into MMA betting, UFC betting, DraftKings stuff. I will be putting out a DraftKings video probably tomorrow, Thursday, August 5th. Maybe a picks, projections kind of video, DraftKings information, just kind of going through it much quicker than these fights, hopefully. And lastly, make sure to do your fight tape. This is a good supplement to your fight tape. You got to watch that film. If you're watching this, you like watching fights already, so go watch that fight tape. Get your homework done. The Monk Magician is telling you to watch that fight tape. I should be an 80s wrestler. That would be awesome. Anyways, watch that tape, put it together with this video, get your stats all in. Now that you have everything you need to have to beat your bookies, get that money, put money in your wallet. All right, guys, thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Enjoy the fights. Peace.